Faith Forsaken, a third-person open-world survival horror action RPG game set in a dark future. What's the story? How does it play? We'll get into that today. The story. At the moment, not much is known about the story of Bleak Faith Forsaken, except for the one provided on the developer's Kickstarter page and the Steam page. You play as one of the Forsaken, the last frontier of humanity against the growing horrors of the Omni structure. You find yourself stranded in the faraway outposts. Now, you must venture into the unknown and adapt in order to survive through this hellish wasteland. Explore the last remnants of civilization in this vast, unforgiving, and interconnected world. Along your journey, you'll learn what is left of its history and discover pockets of civilization in the perpetually expanding Omni structure. Exactly what has happened to humanity? What is an Omni structure? And what are these gigantic beings doing in this world? Presentation. The world of Bleak Faith Forsaken is, well, bleak, dark, and grey. It has a rustic feeling where everything seems to be a fusion of stone structures, metal, and plants. You'll be exploring a variety of areas, places that look like industrial factories, a desert, some place that has massive leaning towers, a medieval industrial looking castle area, all of them looking depressingly grey. In addition, it seems like some flora is taking over some of the industrial complexes as foliage of plants and greenery can be seen during your explorations. The enemies in this game look like corpses with protruding bones from their chests. They look like a mash between enemies from Dark Souls and the environment of Scorn, fused together to create a medieval cyborg corpse. There are titanic enemies in this game too, and I'm assuming that they are bosses, and they are way bigger than you. Based on the trailers, there is a mechanical dragon that can seemingly shoot laser beams, a few giants like the giant with the animal horns protruding from its head, or the naked giant with the spinning great axe, and even a giant serpent or leviathan that you can climb onto. They all look pretty epic. Your character looks like a rustic industrial samurai who can wield an arsenal of weapons. It seems like you have access to a multitude of armors and weapons, and all of them will provide you with different looks for your character. However, even though the game looks epic in proportion, the graphic is not up to standards of, say, Elden Ring. And this is understandable as it is only being developed by apparently 3 people. The gameplay. Bleak Faith Forsaken seems to have an interconnected world with some open areas and some closed-in path areas with other branching paths to explore. Similar to Dark Souls 1, there is quite a bit of verticality in some of the map designs, so you'll be climbing up and down ladders, jumping into holes, hoping not to break a leg. There seem to be swimming sections too, where you run on an oxygen meter. This game started out as a Souls-like from the first prototype gameplay, but from further trailers, it seems like it may have gone to a more Devil May Cry gameplay with faster action and will have you taking on multiple enemies at a time, as opposed to methodically aggroing and picking enemies off one at a time. At the beginning of the game, it seems like you can choose a class that you want to play. I would imagine this would be more in line with the Dark Souls style choice, where you can start as a specific class but can branch into something entirely different from your class as you progress. If this is true, then you'll have a level up system of sort that will enable you to enhance certain stats of your character. Even though it seems like in earlier demos, you could collect some items scattered around the world to increase your stats. I guess we will find out as more information is released about this game. Like Dark Souls 1, you have to choose your stat enhancements wisely as you cannot reverse it later in the game if you do change your mind. That does make me wonder how the collection of certain stats increase items actually work. What if the item you've collected, say a strength enhancing item, isn't really what you want because maybe you're a mage or an archer? There is some stealth mechanics in this game. The enemies have a line of sight and you can hide behind semi-thick foliage as you wait for your opportunity to strike. If you are patient enough, you can wait till the enemy's back is turned to you, then slowly crawl up to them and sink your weapon through their back, performing a finishing move that instantly kills them. So far, the trailers have shown some weapons that you can wield, and these ranges from swords, shields, greatswords, staffs, scythes, katanas, axes, and a composite bow. It also seems like you could two-hand your weapons, presumably for extra damage or for weight management. In addition, you will also have access to special skills that you can use, and these ranges from offensive abilities like a dark energy that rains down upon enemies, or ice abilities, to defensive and evasive abilities like being able to instantly teleport short distances to avoid being hit. As per many Souls-like games, you'll have the health bar, stamina bar, and a mana bar, with the stamina bar depleting as you attack, and the mana bar depleting as you use your special abilities. As mentioned earlier, it seems like you'll have access to different armors as the trailer showed several different character models, and I would imagine that these would change your stats and resistance to certain types of damage. From earlier gameplay footage, the battle system seems more methodical. You have to time your movements and positioning correctly to find an opportunity to hit the enemies. The enemies may seem slow at first, but some could teleport to you instantly to catch up to you and murder you. One of you will eventually meet your demise, and if it is the enemy instead of you, you can perform a finishing move on them when they are close to death. You'll also be facing off against multiple enemies, which seems to turn into a slow-paced Devil May Cry. But whether this is just for cinematics instead of actual gameplay is still to be determined. What's really epic about this game that we can see so far are the bosses. They seem to be massive titans who are more than happy to take your head when they see you. It seems like they are a combination of Dark Souls and God of War style boss battles, as they follow a certain pattern of attacks with large amounts of health like in Dark Souls. But at certain points in the fight, you can perform moves that seem scripted, like climbing onto their backs to sink your sword into them, like in God of War. Some bosses seem more Souls-like than God of War though, like the laser-spewing black metal dragon not having a scripted battle event, while one of the giants seemed to have the aforementioned stab in the back scenario. First impressions. With only 3 people in the development team, this game is coming out to look quite good. Don't expect a AAA production though, and this shows in the graphical qualities of the game. The graphics are good, but not to the standards of say, Elden Ring nor Resident Evil 8. But that's fine, as I have been playing older games like Dark Souls 2 and is still a ton of fun. The world also looks very mysterious, and I have so many questions about it. I wonder if the story will follow the same mysterious path like Dark Souls, where you have to piece the story together on your own by reading various notes and journals scattered throughout the world. I feel like they need to decide if this game is going to be an action-adventure like Devil May Cry or a Souls-like, as at the moment the different trailers show very different playstyles, with earlier trailers showing a methodical combat, while newer trailers showing faster paced combat, slashing at multiple enemies. The boss battles do look very epic, and the scripted events in battle could work if they're integrated right like in the God of War game series. There isn't a specified release date for Bleak Faith Forsaken as of November 2022, but it is listed as 2022 on the Steam page. In terms of platforms, it seems like it will be released on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. However, I would imagine they would want to release this game on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S, otherwise it would have been a missed opportunity. I guess we will find out. So what do you think about Bleak Faith Forsaken? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Across the winds, wanderer.